I think I'm going to start. I just want to say a few words before we all raise our glass. So thank you again for joining us for the first ever IT Expert Exchange virtual event. Before we raise our glasses, I would like to thank our speakers, also the committee who helped to put that together and the programming. Everybody put quite a bit of time in that. So, and thank you so much. And thank you for all the expertise being shared today. Thank you. Special thank you as well to our own Kevin Steele. Thank you, Kevin, for agreeing to MC for us today. That was very appreciated, definitely. And maybe you want to say a few words.
Yeah, no, I think it was great to see a lot of familiar faces. I know, like I said earlier, this group likes to be together, but even in this situation, I think you all brought a lot to the discussion. And as per usual, it's not only the speakers, but it's the audience that brings a lot to this forum. So I want to thank you all for that and bringing the energy that you normally do. And you know, who knows how much longer or how many other times we're going to have to do this, but knowing that you guys are ready to go and we'll have some good conversation is helpful. So on behalf of the association, I want to thank you all for attending and participating in the way that you did. So, and you made it easy. I mean, for me, it was a no-brainer. It was pretty simple stuff, but what you all brought was great. So thank you.
Thank you. And just a few housekeeping things. You are going to receive a survey link, which will be sent just after we finish today. We will appreciate your taking a few quick minutes to give us your valuable feedback, because obviously that's always very helpful for us to get some sense of your thoughts following the event. Lastly, we would like to thank you all for being with us, making the time and participating as well. Hopefully you find this useful and interesting and the rest. I would like now to propose a toast to everybody. Please raise your glass to each other. 2020 was taught, but we survived. May 2021 bring you, your families, your team, and business health and prosperity. As we say in France, santé, salut.
Okay.
Salut.
Thank you so much, and yeah, all the best.
My husband thought I was crazy when I ran through the living room to go get a glass of port. He's like, "Are you done?" I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I gotta get my wine glass work glass.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for all your help, and Patty and Kisha. I know you all put a lot of work into putting this thing together, and you tried to market it, and there are obviously a lot of new faces here, so we appreciate you too.
Pleasure. No.
Just a reminder that we will post the presentations and the recordings. Give us about a week. Hopefully about this time next week, we'll have those. Basically what we'll do is we'll replace the join session link on the agenda with a view recording link. So we hope to have that. I'll work with our marketing folks to get that hopefully by, like I said, next week. And just, yeah, one last plug, as Lo said, really appreciate if you could take a minute or two and fill out the survey. It is helpful for us to know kind of what you thought. We try to make the survey short and sweet, so it literally will take you a minute or two. So thank you in advance.
And when COVID's over,
Yes,
much better in person. We would be having appetizers right now.
Yeah.
Excusing to get In-N-Out Burger again.
Well, that's later. That's after dinner.
Oh yes, for dinner.
That's after dinner.
it
It was good to see everybody. It was great to hear your stories.
Absolutely.
What's going on?
a lot of good.
So are there plans to have another event?
I would think so. I think we ought to.
Do we have a sense of timing for that?
Well, that's for us to look into it. I mean, do we think, doing this twice a year or 3 times a year. It's really, let's see what the survey is telling us as well. We do have in the survey, we are asking you all to give us some feedback on redoing something like today. So based
I
on,
mean, I was just, it was interesting to me, the numbers of people that I expected to see participate who didn't. And so I'm wondering if, I'm wondering if the duration, sort of like the noon to 5, or I'm confused between Central and Eastern time, but I wonder if the size of the time block is a little too much, and maybe we're better off doing, shorter events more frequently as opposed to, infrequent longer events.
The other
Just
thing I saw is sometimes people would have like a 2-day event, 2 days, but really it was like a couple hours in the morning, a couple hours the next day in the morning. And it wasn't really there was nothing else. And it made it, I don't know, it made it more, you're right, more manageable. Sometimes it's intimidating. I mean, I had to step out. I had a thing right in the middle where I had another group that was doing a big presentation. So it's hard to block that time out, especially now, beginning of the year, everything's kicking, at least for me, everything kicks off now.
Yeah.
Because the way our company does strategy.
Lou, I'll tell you, I head up our event services department, and since the pandemic hit, 30 plus years doing in-person events and then having to shift to this, a tremendous amount of research on the fact that people, your attention spans just aren't as great. Different if you're sitting around a table in a hotel ballroom or something like that. And so I think your point is valid. The more I've read, and especially recently, you keep it short and sweet and you spread it out. Initially, some of the information I was getting was you don't spread it out over multiple days. Now, ironically, the stuff I'm reading and hearing is saying if you, and Susan, to your point, 2 days was actually only maybe 6 or 7 hours of actual programming. You spread it out. And so people can not only digest it, but commit to it in smaller chunks. And so if you run it for 2 or 3 days and you do maybe 2 hours each day, the likelihood of getting people to join might be greater than if you're trying to do 6 hours in one day. So your point is very well taken.
The other
I
thing
think
I
a lot
saw,
of people, if it were 6 hours in a day, I think a lot of people would sign up for it. But just like me today, I got distracted 20 times, when I'm not on the video, just like, vast majority of everybody else, they're probably doing 5 other things. And so, yeah, hour, 2 hours each day, short 20, 30 minute at most conferences, subjects, I don't know, but that's what I would think.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's easy to get distracted when you're not off-site and able to really focus. The flip side of that is great for me to be able to invite a number of my lieutenants who I wouldn't have been able to afford airfare and hotels to bring the whole crew along. So that's great. I'd say whatever is possible to be done to encourage people to participate with their cameras on is helpful.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy to start cheating and scanning through emails and such when you don't have your camera on and you're actually, it kind of pulls you in to be engaged in the presentation, right?
Right.
So what do you guys do with your teams? So like my teams now, if I was going to a meeting right now that was going on and half of them would have it on, I go in and all the rest of them turn on really quickly because they know that supposed to. How are you guys handling that in your company? Do you allow them to have all the screens off all the time in meetings?
We don't mandate it. I think there's a sense that there's some level of privacy there. I know I've got several folks on my team that are just waiting to get back to the office because here I am in my house. I've got a separate office, albeit my wife's using the couch as a folding table. But so I come in here at 8 o'clock in the morning or whenever my meetings start, and I'm in my own little Idaho over here. But I mean, there's several folks where I've been on online with them, and they say, oh, I'll turn my video on because you turned yours on. And, you know, they're sitting in their living room and they're, you know, their kids over on the couch doing schoolwork because they just don't have the room, right? So we don't mandate that you turn on your, you know, it's interesting when in the executive meetings, like hardly none, like nobody turns on their video. I always turn on my video.
Yeah.
It's
the opposite with us. Everybody has their video on.
I just don't like putting on my makeup every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't have any makeup on. What are you saying? And look, I have this nice fire behind me. What's to be embarrassed by?
I'm investing in some powder to cover up this glare.
Gotcha.
So, sorry about that, guys, if I'm blinding you. But to what you guys were saying, you know, our executive team meetings. I mean, everyone has video turned on. I mean, if you turn it off, I mean, no one's going to say anything because they know, hey, some emergency. I mean, obviously, you know, but the vast majority are always on now. In the beginning, not so much. Now, yes. When we have, you know, HQ meetings with a couple hundred people or whatever the case may be, they're always on for that. But like if, you know, my team was having a working thing with some other team members and, you know, and there's like, you know, my team is small. The restaurant side is small, like 3 people. So if all 3 of them on it, I'll guarantee you 2 of them are, you know, doing other work and just listening on. So
yeah, I find the smaller the group in my company, the more likely people are to turn on. Like for one-on-ones, videos are on. For my you know, for my leadership team, it's me and 3 other people. Videos on. You start get to 6, 8, and more people than that, and you know, you might get 3 or 4 people that are turn on their video, but the majority of them are not. I don't know, Tony. I would be interested in the project meetings and some of the other meetings at your end. Are the folks, do the folks have more of a propensity to turn on their video or no?
No, mostly no. Kelly's team meetings, usually all the team members have their cameras on, but all the other meetings that I'm in, nobody has their camera on.
Well, you know, almost every meeting I do that they're almost all on. The only time I ever turn it off is when I have to talk to Lou. But beyond that, there's a good reason for that. I also push mute on that too, by the way.
Thanks, Rob.
But
You both do.
yeah, there. Neither one of us are talking to either one, right? But I will tell you that I found it very interesting to see people's backgrounds in it. And typically I use a virtual background, but I used to I used to not until I figured out that I could go ahead and do it. Oh, I can't get rid of the screen. But anyway, but most times I actually sit in Starbucks, which is where I do it. But I find that there's something getting lost in actually talking to people. But what happens is the Zoom calls seem to take longer than some of the meetings I used to have with people. And I'm not exactly sure why that is.
You know what we could do? Remember how when we normally start our meetings, we would have gone around and introduced everybody. I know that took a long time in our regular meetings, but it could have been a quick version. They don't have to keep the camera on forever, but they could turn on for a little bit and be like, "Hey, I'm here." I mean, that little moment of seeing their face and knowing. I mean, I don't always know what all the names are, right, of the new people. I did have people that couldn't come normally. I had our loyalty program manager was there. She wanted to hear my presentation. I don't know why. She gets to talk to me all the time. But
you would be able to get the recording.
Yeah, I did have people come in and listen to Red Lobster's presentation, which I'm really glad they did. But you don't always know who they are because it's just especially the new names.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea to do introductions. It's more challenging in a Zoom environment because someone has to manage it, or else people are kind of stepping over each other. But and obviously, to Lou's point, some people are more comfortable turning their cameras on for other. But for me, being a social person, you know, I got so much value out of just, you know, the kind of the water cooler talk, walking the hallways and asking people about their kids and such. I do a half-hour scrum every morning with my direct reports, and I try to encourage them to spend at least 50% of that time is asking about, you know, someone's son's baseball game or things like that, or, you know, what beer are you brewing this weekend, just to kind of keep some of those conversations and the relationships going.
So one of
Yeah, that's a good point. One of the things that I implemented pretty quickly was, I call it stopping by your desk, and I'll just randomly, you know, call you up on a team meeting for just a quick one-on-one. And I had to tell the folks on my team, I said, look, if you get a call from me and you're not scheduled a meeting, I'm just calling to check in and make sure you're okay. And, you know, so I try to talk to everybody at least once a quarter, just, you know, one-on-one, particularly for the folks where I'm not usually in a meeting, or if there's some kind of a recurring, you know, meeting that I'm in, just for that reason. Cause like John, I mean, I'd spend a good part of, not the majority of my day, but I did deliberately make time several times a day. I called it just walking the loop, and I would just walk my floor and see who was there and just, you know, check in, or even just to say hi, or, you know, what are you working on, or, you know, how's the family, that kind of thing. And that really goes a long way for a lot of people. And, you know, I'm not doing it just to do it because, you know, I'm trying to manipulate the situation. I generally want to make sure they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
And particularly in the shutdown,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the real shutdown, the people that I knew who were single and they were home alone, I made sure that I reached out to them, you know, more frequently than not, because it was hard on those folks.
So John, one of the ideas I had that would go well with you is we started ending meetings, 50-minute meetings instead of 60. And then at the end of 50, we dismiss everybody who wants to go, and then everybody else can just kind of stay, right? Like if they don't have another meeting scheduled until on the hour, or they can hover around and ask random, like a real meeting where they would kind of stay in the room and everybody else would leave, and then they finally talk to you or ask you questions. It really helps because it creates that casualness. You know, but the rule is you have to say, okay, the meeting's over. You can all leave. And anybody wants to stay behind, I'll stay for a few minutes. That's all you have to do. And then all of a sudden, it's like it used to be. What Lou said just reminded me. I have a person who found out they had leukemia in December, who's single, living at home. I've had COVID cases. I have my director of IT is very, very sick with COVID, and so we've had a lot of that needing to make care calls, like calling people and saying, I care about you and how are you doing? And so I'm glad you reminded me, because we get out of the habit of needing to do that and check in with everybody, because I worry about the people that are sick, but everybody around them is also worried. So
yeah,
you need to do that.
Yeah,
more.
that's great. I don't know who all was able to attend Corey's session on adapting to COVID, but and we just ran out of time before I could make the point. But I think that IT, since we're already more familiar with these collaborative tools, whether it's, you know, video conferencing or your Slack teams, chat channels, and things like that, have a real potential to help kind of drive that culture for the business for what are the best practices for remote work and keeping teams engaged.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The only challenge on that is that there are too many tools.
Mm-hmm.
And so while you're keeping your teams engaged internally, this external thing, even when you're doing these kinds of sessions, there's at least 3 different types, and people are not connected, you know, that way. It makes it very confusing.
Yeah.
For our guys, I had to check in on them. They have families, but you know, you wonder if they're actually doing okay, or if they're. One guy said, "I'm working from my garage. My wife kicked me out." So every so often, I send them I sent them fruit basket one time, and then it's like, who am I kidding? I wouldn't even eat that. So I sent them cookies and candies, and then once in a while I do a little surprise and delight. Send them something random. I have no idea what this is, but here you go. Figure it out. So just keep their mind going, and you know, they know that you're interested in their self or their well-being, and just keep them laughing. I think that's the key.
Need to get Corey to tell us how they did that escape room because I want to do that.
Oh,
We're actually looking into that right now. We
Oh,
every year we have a holiday party and we do a white elephant gift swap, and we did a virtual one this year. And we had a blast with it. We found a site, whiteelephantonline.com. And so yeah, we're looking into escape rooms, but I liked I think it was Susan said that using the team's whiteboard, you can play hangman, you can play tic-tac-toe. I mean,
Susan Lucas.
and then the trivia, getting into teams and doing trivia is another great idea.
So I can't remember. There's a really easy and my people make me play it all the time. So you think I'd remember. There's two different ones we play all the time that are online, and we normally played it in teams because you could just play it with your phone. It's a website, but you could project it. I can't remember it right now, but if you could find stuff like that, they do tend to. I think that they're silly, but they love them, right?
Yeah.
They love the competition part of it, and the fact that we just stopped. Like we have. Right outside of my area, we have a room that has one of the big arcade machine, to make it look like an arcade, and but it can play like 3,000 different games. And they were constantly competing against each other in this stupid thing. So like somehow figuring out how to replicate that for them remotely would probably be a good idea too.
We
Because I like
we added a ping pong table at the office about a year and a half ago, and we set it up in the kind of in our dining area, if you will, like our break area. And you at any point in the day when we were in the office, you'd go in there and there'd be competitions going on, like at all times of the day. I'd be going home and there'd be people just hanging out, playing a game of table tennis before they got in their car to go home.
Excellent.
May I suggest one thing? Because I know everybody's leaders in the restaurant technology. I want to share you one thing very quickly. I'm doing the research with UNLV Hospitality School. We interview a lot of multi-unit managers. We ask them restaurant technology, would you like to see a curriculum in the college level or even a master level at UNLV hotel school? Most people say no, because they think somebody in the headquarters will do for them. Yeah, that's why I think our conference content is very, very good. I wish we will have more restaurant operators, like regional directors. They can get involved in our restaurant technology implementation, adoption, and then they can be like a part of the team with all the restaurant IT seniors.
Are you teaching? Are you teaching at UNLV?
No, I'm right now doing my education doctor program at USC, but my dissertation topic helping UNLV to create a restaurant degree, which is fast casual, and then a lot of digital transformation in that particular area. So I have access to a lot of restaurant multi-unit manager and regional director. Ask them to rank restaurant technology. They all rank very low. This is the lowest course for them because they think that's not on their plate. But I feel it's very important right now, particularly after COVID, probably 30% of the sit-down restaurant will still be on a digital order. So that's why I think this is very important for our restaurant industry to move forward. But on the operator side, they kind of think somebody will do for them. That's why I feel we should.
Yeah, so I'm on the board of UNLV's school with Stowe. And actually they've proposed a curriculum. Sunny there has a curriculum in food and beverage technology there, which Panda is helping to provide funding for. So they actually have been looking to put that in the program at UNLV.
That's my same research. So they try to create a fast casual restaurant degree. I used to work for Panda Express. So Mr. Andrew Chen, he endowed $5 million for UNLV. And Dr. Shoemaker is actually my thesis advisor chair. Yeah. Thank you, Robert. Yeah.
Sunny is doing the research with one of our former CMO who's just retiring. Kim's just retiring. She's doing research for us on our Julia. So our outdoor, the same thing that Sonic had been doing, the Julia that we talked about earlier today. She's going to be doing our consumer research and some of our team member research on how customers feel about that. If we could ever get it to the point where we can do the research. But anyway, it's neat that we're all connected.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you.
Hey, Rob, I can't believe you're cheating on Penn State. That's all I'm saying. I'm calling them up and getting you disbarred from your school.
Wonderful.
We could say something about that, but I will tell you that UNLV has more in some of these schools are dropping technology education, which is a real problem in the hospitality school. And Penn State, has moved it to the second level. UNLV has a good course in it, Delaware, so that actually, as an industry, that's a problem, problem for us, that they're making it electives. And, it's a challenge. Yeah.
Great. I'm going to close the day. Again, thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy your evening. You will hear from us. I think the email for the survey has hit your inbox already. And I will be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Everybody be safe.
Absolutely.